Oh, for goodness sake, there's another update. What the hell? Never mind, okay. Never mind. Never mind. Holy shit. So anyways, here I am, once again, back at it. Like before. Nobody's watching these videos as of yet, but, you know, this is the grind of YouTube. You gotta put the content out there, and you've really just gotta do what you gotta do. Now, I've done this before, so I know how it works, slightly. And really today, I'm just gonna play a lot of freaking competitive. Now I haven't warmed up at all, but I'm just gonna go ahead and jump in. And while I'm doing that, I'm gonna incoherently rant about Call of Duty strategy, and in particular, search and destroy strategy. Let's do this. So, by the way, if you don't understand the purpose of this channel, one of the primary purposes, of course, is the introduction of a comprehensive strategy guide covering all of Call of Duty, and more specifically each of the game modes: search and destroy, hardpoint, and uplink, namely. And so I'm going to basically do a comprehensive strategy guide for each of those game modes, and there'll be a real treat for people who really want to understand those game modes at the strategic level. Then there'll be all sorts of different stuff in terms of just generalized videos in terms of how to win gunfights. I've talked about it before. Trick question. You don't want to win gunfights, you want to cut the gunfight out of the picture. Anyways, that's one example, right? Now, in terms of how these strategy guides are going to work, I've sort of labelled it out roughly. And so I suppose I'll give a preliminary sense of what this is going to include. And really this isn't everything, because there's a lot that really isn't mentioned, but I have written some of it down. And when it comes to search and destroy, which is my personal favourite game mode, we're going to basically structure it as follows. There's going to be a general description of the mode. And that might seem a little bit cumbersome, because of course everybody knows, especially people who can play competitive, know what search and destroy is. But it's extremely important to lay out what search and destroy is, because it allows you to then understand why it is that later things that are said. Now, I've just been rejected, and whatever. And you know, I was doing fine before, but I'm kind of stressed now. So, anyways, the reason that I'm going to give a general description of the mode, which is very cumbersome and I think slows things down, but it's important, because laying out the game mode, I think, acts as a prerequisite for all the knowledge that comes afterwards. And so I'll describe why defenders do this, why defenders do that. It's nice to have that little backdrop, and it won't take too long, right? So we'll give a general description of the mode. And then branching out from that, there's so many different things to talk about. And the three main ones really pertain to the first being intelligence, the second being strategy, and the third being tactics. And so, in a brief sense, intelligence is the art of... It is essentially the art of building up a picture through the collection of information so as to better understand one's environment and as such exploit it to their advantage. One second. That's what it's all about when it comes to intelligence. That's like the preliminary overview in terms of what intelligence is. And so we're going to cover a whole wide range of aspects within intelligence. We talk about collection methodologies. You talk about the communication of intelligence. There's just so many different things to talk about within that topic. I'm going to push it left here as usual. And then we talk about strategy. And strategy really pertains to how you win not only the round but the game as a whole. It's an all-encompassing package that's going to detail that. And within strategy are a series of different components that must be taken into account. Push this upside here. I'll be on this gunfight. This guy's going to help me out. So again, you talk about geography. Such an important thing. Let me just win this gunfight right here. Wizard Harry. Should be spawning out here, I believe. Spawning out here by the looks of it. I haven't warmed up at all, so I'm going to be bonzos. Should all be out this side. So you talk about strategy, and there's so many different things to talk about in strategy, right? What is an attack capability? What is a defensive capability? You talk about manpower, you talk about resources. What the hell? I really rotated a long time ago, because now they're going to have that left spawn. Now they should be all spawning out here still, so I'm going to preemptively piece them. They're going to push through mid, I think. If they're smart, they'll go for the back spawn. Which really means I ought to rotate, in all honesty, and go protect that. But there's so many different things to talk about within strategy. Talk about an attack capability. What does that pertain to? And what factors increase your attack capability? I want to talk about manpower, resources, weaponry, how that affects where you can exert control on the map. You talk about, let's see here, I've got a UAV. I'm going to attack this back spawn. Talk about defensive capability. Talk about rotation regime. So basically that's the second key topic. And again, that's like preliminary review. That's a lot of simplistic stuff. There's so much to talk about. And then you talk about tactics. Now, strategy is the big picture. Tactics really pertain to the smaller scale events. So for instance, how do you breach a building? You don't just necessarily want to rush in every single time, but you're putting yourself in danger in the circumstances. Die, please. The wizard Harry. The tactics. My computer is jagging into my leg right now. What the fudge? Tactics. What the hell? Can you not do that to me right now? Like, tactics pertain to what the fuck? Pertain to those smaller scale events. How do you breach a building? Things like that. How do you win, for instance, a 1v1 situation? And that's really going to be the structure. So it's going to be intelligence, strategy, tactics. And then within the confinements of those topics will be, for instance, you want to talk about intelligence. One of the key things in intelligence is reconnaissance. And so you want to talk about the different capabilities within the game you can make use of in order to conduct reconnaissance. You talk about different key terms, for instance. You want to watch key crosses, right? And then there's obviously overlap here because, of course, if you want to conduct reconnaissance, you have to also understand implicit areas of control. You have to understand your effective map control, which is going to take into account your attack or defensive capabilities and your resources and manpower and all that stuff. Again, a lot of this overlaps. But you want to talk about intelligence. One of the key things in that is reconnaissance. And reconnaissance, within the confinements of reconnaissance, is not only about just necessarily conducting that old school intel gathering of watching key lines of sight, but you've also got to make use of the different intelligence gathering capabilities the game offers, in the form of, for instance, the Scarab, or HCXD rather, and also they're going to be at the side right here. But you've also got to make use of, for instance, grenades. Grenades offer superb intel collection capabilities that can be made use of. And so within the confinements of search and destroy, and more specifically intelligence section in that, I'll talk about grenades and how they can be used. But then, at a more general level, I'll talk about grenades in and of themselves. Because grenades have different effects, and so they're going to be given different circumstances. And so that needs to be talked about. So you're going to have search and destroy, talk about intelligence, strategy, tactics, then you talk about grenades. Then you can talk about weaponry in general and say, okay, these weapons are good in these circumstances, so on and so forth. And then that's pretty much a generalized overview, and there's a lot of nuance, and there could be another section, but that's pretty much the meat of the matter. And it'll all be good in the hood. And this is knowledge you're not really going to get anywhere else. Now, as I say, the Scarab, or in this game, it's not the HCXD, but it's the... What the hell? It must be in this corner right here. Well, you're hiding mid. Don't prone mid. I'm walking, I'm not really trying. Should have really rotated there. Now, you talk about the Scarab. The reason it's such an effective intelligence gathering device is because, number one, you can push it into a site without putting yourself in harm's way. And also, it has third-person view. And that third-person view is really going to offer you... There's a wizard, Harry. Offer you the ability to scope out a site, which is going to give you that intel that you need. It's sort of like drones in real life. Drones in real life are extremely effective with regards to not only intelligence, but targeting. Now you want to talk about within the confinements of this game. Again, the Scarab's the exact same thing. It's superb with regards to intelligence gathering capability, but it's also good for just targeting in general. And of course they can use fire check and all that good stuff. He's one shot there. And so really there's so many different nuances to this, so much different nuance to this as well. Not to be talking about this guy's still alive, Harold, what the hell? Oh, what's my map right here? What's my cut? What's spawning out here, are they? They are. Hi, Harold. I'm gonna die right there, yeah, I didn't get out of the way of the pillar right there. So just to recap, search and destroy is going to be an intelligence section, strategy section. This guy's going to rush up here, I would imagine. I just made that off. An intelligence section, strategy section, tactics section. And within the confinements of those are going to be so many different topics to talk about. It's going to be Krasinski's in the block. I've sort of written a few ideas down here, so I think I'll elaborate because a lot of stuff I've said is a very simplified overview. I have talked about it before. But this video is really sort of aimed at just sort of like giving that overview. Now I need to go there in the back. Actually, I don't need to because we're going to win this game and I don't have to try. Any grenades left? Alright, that is dragging fire right there. Again, you want to talk about retaking a site. Now, retaking a site really pertains. Wow, this guy is literally in the CIA right now. What the fudge balls? Can you die, please? Thank you. So, I'm being a jokester toaster. Anyways, this tactics really pertain to not only what the hell, Pavel? Right, tactics really pertain to. This guy's a wizard. Please die. Tactics pertain to, for instance, how you would retake a site, and so. Again, you can have, within the confinements of strategy is your rotation regime. But then in terms of retaking a site, that would really come under the banner. It's a tricky one to really understand where you would put that section. Oh, my heart is burning right now, like Krasinski in a block. You talk about tactics, right? Or you talk about strategy, rather. Again, that's the big picture. And within the confinements of that, there's a whole range of different topics. And so, I suppose I'll talk a little bit about them now, seeing as this game's over. So within the confinements of intelligence, again, I actually wrote down a little. Again, you want to understand the quality of these tutorials. Not tutorials. That makes it seem really over the top and sort of cumbersome. It's gonna be fun, guys. It's gonna be fun. It's gonna be graphics. It's gonna be little diagrams. Now I've written down a whole range of stuff right here, and I think I'm going to read it out. So, and again, this you might say this is scripted, and so because of that I don't know what I'm talking about, but I wrote this down myself. So, actually, I'll play out the rest of this game first. I wrote this down myself, so I don't know what I'm talking about. Now this guy's a wizard. I got the last go. So, within the confinements of intelligence. We're going to talk about a range of different things. You want to firstly take into account collection methodologies, right? How do you collect intelligence? There's a whole range of different capabilities that you can make use of. Again, the Scarab, different grenades, and also a whole range of different things that interlap with strategy in terms of pushing out as much as possible, watching key lines of sight, and also making use of the understanding of the common practice, namely common deployment strategies and all that good stuff. And so we take into account, okay, how do we collect intelligence, right? Now, more important than that, really we've got to understand what is intelligence, why is it useful, and what does it allow for. Give a brief description of all those different matters, and then, as I say, we talk about collection methodologies. We talk about communication. How is communication conducted within the context of not only search, but first-person shooter games in general at the competitive level? Communication really is going to pertain to the collection of little giblets of information by each operator on the map, and they will then take what is a complex environment and then shorten that down into short strings of information. You don't want to bog up your comms, and you want to make it easy for your team to understand what's going on. You want to give them a full picture, but in as few words as possible. And so you take what is a complex environment, you shorten that down into a nice short string of information, and you relay that across your team. Now you're relaying that across your team as a whole, but the most important thing is that your team captain, or who is ever in charge of those large strategic decisions, you're relaying it across. One second. Useful. You're relaying it across such that the captain and those in charge of those larger intelligence decision or larger strategic decisions can then take that information in, plop that into their threat map, better understand what's going on, and then make decisions based off of that. And so really it's important for the most part that the captain gets that info. And so then you say, okay, what is reconnaissance? Again, we talked about communication before, but what is reconnaissance? Right? How is that conducted? Why is it useful? What are deployment regimes? What is the threat map? What's the picture? And we take into account the analogy of the jigsaw puzzle and the jigsaw pieces. So when we talk about operator/unit execution flow, what is that? I'm going to sit on the left side right here. I'm going to play the scheme. And there's a whole range of different stuff here I've written down. I'll read it out after, so I suppose I'll really focus on the scheme. Chuck a nade right here. Watch the left side. Again, I've talked about in this map, really off the bat, you want to hold the spawn right here. We got, so I'm going to go ahead and do that. Because this mid-hill is such a hard hill to lock down, because you really need to have your ARs go off. And so really your best bet is to have a submachine gun player in there and have your AR slay around the hill. And so really I would suggest playing exclusively for this mid-hill. Obviously you can't give it up completely, because of course then they're just going to rack up points. Now this guy's pushing way too far up. If he's playing for that mid-hill. And really doesn't make any sense. He's not. You gotta go one or the other, buddy. And about this left side right here. So to speak. I don't like using UAV at all. I think that's cheating. I took my nade right here. Oh shit. Unfortunate right there. Again, there's a whole range of stuff I've written down, and I'll talk about that after this game, which will not take too long at all. And then, of course, there's a whole different matter with hardpoint and uplink, but Search and Destroy is my favourite game out. And I've got a lot of experience in CSGO as well, and so a lot of my knowledge from that game really is useful for understanding Search and Destroy. This guy's not dead, what the hell? Chuck my nade right here and then kill the reinforcements. Again, this is about tactics right here. You don't necessarily want to push in there, you want to kill the reinforcements. Now, I'm really missing my shots quite badly right there. And so that's really about hardpoint. Again, it's very difficult to sort of understand, okay, where do these things go in terms of their section? But so long as the material is covered, I guess that's only the thing that matters. This guy's a Wizard Herald. Let's rotate all the way around the back here. But I guess it doesn't really matter at the end of the day, because so long as that material is covered, that's all that matters. This guy's fixing the mid right here to my right. I should have got that kill right there, I'm not gonna lie. I'm really missing my shots. Really missing my shots right there. Unfortunately now we've got weird noises going on, which I don't like. I don't like it. What the hell? It's cheese and onion. Anyways, I'm a big fan of Black Ops 2. I'm going to be getting a capture card within the next couple of days, hopefully. Maybe I might not, depends. And so really I can start playing a lot of different things. And really, now I'm going to have to rotate right here, because unfortunately my team... What is this guy doing? You're help. Anyway, so I may as well talk about it, leave this game right here. And I was going to say I'll leave this game and talk about it, but I'm going to see if I can get a few more kills right here. I'm behind you. This guy, did I stun him or nade him? Not quite sure. This guy's stun was... Unless you want to really push at this back spawn, as I always say it, because it's so important to understand that. And now, of course, you can't really push this L room right here, because you'll funnel into a nice little doorway that they can pre-aim, and so they have an implicit advantage right there. And so really what you're going to want to do is push both sides simultaneously. Again, within the confinements of search and destroy. The importance, again this will be strategy, the importance of multi-vector attacks. Again, splitting defensive capabilities and resources. That's as possible. Again, within the confinements of defensive strategy, you want to understand strategically, positionally strategic multi-layered approaches. Because this guy's weak, Harold. Got a teammate now though. There's so much to talk about. It's Krasinski and I'm excited to talk about it. Particularly because I'm probably going to die soon because I'm really not able to drink. Holy shit, I broke my throat. Probably. Who knows? Let me move forward. Sometimes I feel like throwing my hands up and what's going on? I'm gonna stun this right here. I'm not playing this as I normally would. Because of course I wouldn't just Hulk rush that side, usually just rotate back through and especially you don't want to push that mid-train with an AR, that's like a really dumb decision. That's better than me, holy shit, do I have aim assist on? I mean I would. Of course I have aim assist. Aim assist, it is on, wait a minute. Yeah, I don't see why you'd want motion blur on this at all, really. It makes sense to me why that would be the case. I'm away from this guy, he's gonna... What's his name? I don't know what's going on. Counter UAV wise, or UAV wise. It's never a good thing. He's seeing me right there. Not very smart though. This guy's rushing over into the back. Wow, Harold. This is my warm-up. These are my warm-up games right here. I usually like to warm up a little bit. And really just make the most of my universal life right here. That's better than me in every respect. I can't believe it, bro. Why is this guy going so high on the walls? What is this? I like that a lot, actually. This guy's still here. Oh, he looks behind him. This guy's just better than me. It's crazy. This guy's better. Just hit this one together right there. Does that guy die behind me? I don't even know. Oh, he did. There's no weapon right here. This guy's weak, Harold. Rush him in the ass. Harold. UV right here. I shouldn't really kill this guy right here. I should rotate. And I have to kill him now because I'm going to get pinched. I'm not trying, obviously. Cheese and onion. Why would I try? It's like 1v4 the whole game. Like what? Who do you think I am? I feel like they're going to flank. What am I being sucked in by? Holy shit. What the hell, Pavel? What the hell was that? Anyways, that's over. As I was saying, you want to talk about operator/unit execution flow, and more specifically present that in the form of a chart. And I sort of elaborated on this before, and so I guess I'll talk about it a little bit. But that pertains to how you play the round. And so how, typically, the way that's going to work is you collect intelligence, you relay intelligence, you update your threat map based on this newly collected intelligence. You fuse that threat map, which is really going to consist of a whole series of things, namely what you know, what you don't know, and what you can infer. And then you're going to fuse that together with two different things, namely common practice, which is really going to depend on the map. It's going to depend on the meta of the time. It's going to depend on which guns are more commonly used, and as such, which personal maps are pushed more often than another on side contours. But also just intuition. Your intuition of what's going on the map. Now, I nearly died right there, I'm not going to lie, but it should be alright. So that's really the first thing. And then, really, with regards to intelligence, again, that's a preliminary overview. But I actually wrote something down with regards to a description of intelligence, and I sort of read a little bit of it out. Now, I think I'll read it out. It is scripted, but I'll read it out. So, intelligence is essentially the art of building up a picture through the collection of information so as to better understand one's environment and as such exploit this knowledge to their advantage. More specifically, intelligence gathering pertains to the way in which one builds up this comprehensive picture. And so that's really the sort of overview of what intelligence gathering is. Now you have to understand that information comes from multiple different sources. And so one must understand that the communication of collected information is vital to the construction of this overall picture. Now, I don't know where I wrote that there. Now, as I say, it's vital to the construction of this overall picture. Now, it's very similar to how one would complete a puzzle, such as a jigsaw puzzle. And you'd complete a jigsaw puzzle by essentially taking each single piece and carefully fitting them together. And so the analogy that I'm building up here really goes as follows. The pieces are the pieces of information, each individual piece of information collected by each operator on the map. Fitting them together is the communication of this information, and the end result being a completed puzzle, which reveals an answer perhaps, is the big picture of what's going on. Right? That's your sort of preliminary overview of the description of intelligence. What is intelligence, and so on and so forth. Right? Why it's useful. Again, I haven't really elaborated on that brief description. But I sort of wrote that down because I was thinking about how I was going to structure this. Now I'm going to have to play this game right here. Got a lot of assault rifle power on this first hill. Weak. So I'm going to go ahead and rotate. He's going to be either coming this way or around this way. Seeing these common spots right here. Get control of a platform. Actually, no, get control of this window room. There's weak Harold. Gonna be coming from this platform and up our stairs. And the window room, I think. I really want to control this platform right here. The key situation. I'm behind the guy window. I'm still in there. What are you doing? I'm not concentrating right now because I need to spin my chair around. Holy shit. Sometimes I feel like throwing my hands up in the air. Like I just don't care. Gotta rotate right here, lads. I'm gonna push a straight because they're all gonna be spawning out here though. They're all gonna be here already. Unfortunately. Took a nade right there and wait for my team. Again, tactics within the components of hardpoint really gonna be into how you're gonna take a site. And I suppose that in strategy you'd really sort of elaborate on the generalized structure of how you would attack a site, but more specifically within tactics you're gonna talk about the fact that you want to wait for your teammates, right? Just a simple thing like that. Because you essentially have more manpower and resources in order to take the site. Now they're all going to be spawning at the side right here, so I'm going to die. This guy's using, what's he using right there? He's using attack mask. We're going to rotate right here. I've heard about it before, but it's, upon rotation on this map in particular, because this is a large map, it's really difficult to sort of have a rotation arc whereby you can hold every single gap in that front line without fault. This guy's already back here. The looks of it. Now you're gonna really want to push him out a street, but actually, honestly, I kind of like pushing him out here as well. I'll be honest about it. Now I've changed my mind. I like pushing them out that side. It depends. You've got to make that trade-off between geography and also resupply capability. You know, how quickly can they resupply their forces? And that was one of the things I sort of learned on Advanced Warfare. You play Retreat Hardpoint on that. One of the key things I learned on that map was that trade-off between playing, whenever playing for a spawn, and it's not necessarily obvious as to what spawn you should play for, or not necessarily the case that one has a significant advantage over the other. You have to then make that trade-off of understanding what's more important to your team. Better geography, because for instance you have AR players that are good and the geography favors AR players. 1 second. Oh, hurt my head right there. Anyways, so you might for instance have a situation whereby the spawn on one particular hardpoint, one of the spawns has a geography that funnels in like a triangle. And so in that instance you might say, okay, let's play for that spawn. But one of the trade-offs you might have. 1 second. You can see me right here. I'm gonna have to go all the way around. And so, 1 second. One of the trade-offs you might have to make in that circumstance. One of the trade-offs you might have to make in that circumstance is you might say, okay, we're going to play for the spawn that offers a greater ability for ARs to be effective on the hill. But because the spawn is further away, we're not going to have resupply capabilities that are as quick as before. You're not going to have resupply, or to be able to resupply your forces as quickly as if you play for the other spawn. And then the other spawn might be such that you're funneled, and so you can be pre-aimed quite easily, but you spawn so close that you can resupply your forces, and so from that perspective, if you have really good sub-players, you might then play for that spawn. And one of the best examples of that was the Bar Hill on Retreat. Now, in general, if you have a situation whereby you have a triangular geography that extends from one point to the other such that it gets wider, then typically in that scenario, look at behind me right here. Right down. Typically in that scenario, the further along you push along that triangular geography from the narrowest point, the more defensive or attacking capability you have. With regards to multi-vector, what the fudge? The more attacking, whenever you have a situation where you have a triangular geography. What the hell? I can hear this guy right here. Anyway. Bro, like shit, chill. Die, please! My head hurts very badly. Anyways, so whenever you have a triangular geography, and it such that the geography is narrower at one point than the other, then typically in that situation, the further along that you push along that geography, the more capability you have with regards to multi-vector attacks. And so one of the, a real life scenario of this is Europe. You take a look at Europe, right? And again, I'm somebody that's in history, I sort of learnt this, and playing COD, I sort of understood that quite extensively. You take a look at Europe, right? You take a look back at the Soviet Union and why it is such that the Soviet Union expanded into those Eastern European countries. And the answer as to why they did that was because they essentially wanted to create a buffer zone. And moreover than this, they wanted to offer their forces greater capabilities with regards to multi-vector attacks, such that NATO's forces would be more spread out. That was the idea of why they pushed out so far into those Eastern European countries. This guy's a wizard, Harry. And so the best example, you take a look at Europe, and more specifically the European plain. You take a look at the most western part of Europe, and then you start going towards the east. It expands out like a triangle. It expands out like a triangle, and as such, that's why NATO sought to expand into those Eastern European countries, right? Because that would then offer them greater capability with regards to multi-vector attacks against Russia. Now that's a real-life example, and that's something I learned in history, okay? And so you take that and then you sort of fudge that into the context of a first-person shooter. And you say, again, you take a look at the bar hill on Retreat. That bar hill was... They're not going to be at A Street right now. The bar hill, again, you were able to make that trade-off because it offered that property of... Again, you take a look at the gem spawn as compared to the gravel spawn. The gravel spawn's the wide area, and as you push in, it gets narrower. It offers that triangular geography. And so in that hill in particular, you could make that decision, and you had that trade-off to make. Now this guy's going to rush me like he's a wizard, Harold. Harold! And again, within the context of that real-life circumstance, you essentially had a situation whereby the further east NATO pushes, the more capability they have with regards to attacking capability against Russia. That's the basic idea, and that's a real life example. Call of Duty is not a real game, okay, guys? It's an arcade game. It's a fun game, but I'm just giving a real life example. Okay, it's not real. Okay, I'm not making that connection. So let's just understand that. I'm 8 and 15 right now because I'm ranting, but that's all that's important because I'm really trying to get this content out. Because this is going to be like my first main video right here. What the hell, Pavel? I'm die right here by my own aid. They're going to be showing that A Street. And so that's also something you got to take into account more specifically in Hardpoint. But when this game ends, I will talk generally about Search and Destroy again. So I'm going to try to speed through this. So then we talk about strategy. Right? Strategy pertains to the big picture. And so within the confines of strategy, there's a whole range of different words here that I sort of like to take into account. You talk about your rotation regime. Super important in terms of the reallocation of resources to meet threats that arise given the collection of intelligence. To meet those threats in an appropriate manner. So your rotation regime is really going to be static in terms of it's going to be a preset notion of what players do in certain circumstances. It can be dynamic, and you have to be prepared to understand that it could be dynamic. Who's that downstairs? You have to understand that it can be dynamic, and you have to, as such, act appropriately. But then you talk about your attack capability and your defensive capability. And there's a whole range of different factors that are included within that formula that really explain your attack capability and your defensive capability. Namely, your manpower, your resources, your effective map control. What is your effective map control? Your effective map control is, for the most part, going to be determined by your bubbles of influence. And each operator has a bubble of influence, which in turn is affected by the weaponry and other resources those players are making use of. And most importantly, their skill level, and also their positional coordinates. And so you talk about what is your effective map control. Your effective map control is essentially going to pertain to the combined bubbles of influence of all operators on your team. And the bubbles of influence conjoin across the map so as to form an advanced front line. And so every point behind that, all space behind that front line, operators can operate freely without harm for the most part. And so again, you talk about your rotation regime, that's when that comes into play, because then you can say that you can be assured that you can operate freely without being harmed within those regions of the map, so as to enable your team to basically rotate back and forth across that free space. And so you talk about your effective map control. That is one of the factors that is going to determine your attack capability and your defensive capability. And so you want to talk about how is that determined and how it conjoins across the map. So I have a neck right there. Again, you want to talk about manpower. your weaponry and resources, your map control, your effective map control, and also intelligence comes into play here. You talk about tactics, right? Again, within strategy, before I go off this, you've got your geography. How does geography affect what you can do from a positional standpoint feasibly without putting your players in harm's way? Right? That's what that talks about. Then you want to talk about tactics. Tactics really pertains to things like, for instance, how you breach a building. You want to do something called a peek, so as to not rush in and put yourself in danger. For instance, how do you back up from a position? You want to talk about the minimap, why that's useful. You also want to talk about, Jesus Christ. Then you want to talk about how you play 1v1 situations, how you play 2v1 situations, how you play 4v3 situations, and how you play 3v4 situations. Again, that's like a generalized overview of a whole bunch of stuff right there. Now I'm going to focus on this game. I'll probably talk a little bit about hardpoint strategy as we play here. But typically I like to rush this mid hallway right here. And I'm gonna rush me right here. He's weak mid. Now this hill right here has superb cover with regards to defending from both sides. That can be used. And then within the confinements of search and destroy, again, I'm going to talk generally about the use of grenades as intelligence collection devices because they are superb in that respect. And they're all going to be rotating right now.
Soldier, get a move on to the next location.
I'm going to be down here.
The enemy has the hard point. Check your data. New hard point located. We've captured the hard point.
I'm going to be spawning at this back, I think. I'm lagging! Holy shit. Anyways.
The enemy has the hard point.
On this hill, in my opinion, you really want to have a good AR presence on somebody's going to be behind me right here. So again, these observe my builds, you can look at that. Again, that within the confinements of hardpoint, you want to talk about tactics and you want to talk about strategy. You got to make the most use of your minimap. You got to understand what the current threat map is, which is much more fluid and dynamic in hardpoint, and then understand what you should do. Should you push into the hill, or is it better for you to turn around and kill the reinforcements? From a strategic perspective, because of course, you've got a better me. From a strategic perspective, again, you've got to think long term. You might be able to push into the hill and kill a guy that's not looking at you, but then you're going to get killed by those reinforcements. And so it might be the case that you make that calculation and say, okay, let me turn around and get the reinforcement kills, and although they're going to get a few more seconds in the short term, longer term, my guys are going to come in, take him out, because they outnumber him, and then all of a sudden, you're racking up points much more than you would have otherwise. Again, that's all about understanding the map. That comes with experience. Where the hell is this guy right now? Ningy McBunion, somebody stung out this side right here. They're all spawning there. I'm going to check this inside though. I'll let them run past. They really ought to be pushing this window room right here, which they are right now. This guy's one shot. I don't know why he's trying to run it out. That's kind of a decision on his part because we can just rotate right here. Again, when you rotate on hardpoint, you don't want to rotate all the way to the back and sit there. You want to then push up a little bit and create a buffer zone such that it's much more difficult for them to advance up the map. Again, that's all about hardpoint strategy right there. Let me just control this. I've got a good vision on a lot of the map in this position right here. And they're all gonna... I don't know how he's there, but he is, Harold. What the fudge? And we're spawning at A Street. I'd prefer to go around this back way and get this back spawn. Again, it's about playing long term in hardpoint. Right, a lot of teams and a lot of players in particular will just sort of spawn up and run to the hill. There's a guy right here. And you don't want to do that at all. You want to understand the map at a strategic level, and for the most part in hardpoint, your generic operator flow of execution is going to be you spawn up, you play for the spawn, and then you slay at the hill. Right? That's typically what it's going to be. And then once you slay at the hill, you then push out to advanced power positions and then basically kill them as they spawn up. Have an AR hold the anchor point, and it's as simple as that. Then you rotate at the perfect time, along a rotation arc that is the most efficient and will get you to where you need to be with regards to spawning locations, and then you rinse and repeat, and then you win your gunfights. That's all what it's about. I'm doing really badly right here, but again, this is really about the fact that they're pushing me and killing me, which is fine, because that's what I want them to do in the circumstance. Because they're literally not getting points as a result of it. Now they're racking up points now, so, which is unfortunate for me, really. I gotta focus up right here. They're gonna push me out right here. I'm gonna use my teammates' cover. Unfortunately, this guy, I'm lagging right now because I'm streaming, and not a good situation at all. Let me just rotate a block all the way around the corner right here. And this is, again, look at the cover that I have right here. It's crazy. Really good cover. I'm coming out of this doorway right here. Took a nade, slow him down a bit. Going all the way around. I'm gonna back up right here. I'm not gonna win that gunfight. I'm really badly right now, but we're winning. That's all that matters. We're not winning anymore, unfortunately. But focus up. I'll have to jump off the map and take this thing out. Jump into Kazatsi. Oh shit, we're in a 2v4 situation right here. I'm gonna leave. Let's play some search. Let's play some search. Now, that's a generalized overview of search and destroy. Again, like super general, right? Not going into those advanced, that advanced understanding. Again, you want to talk about insert, and then you talk about search and destroy in a generalized form, and it's very difficult to understand. Okay, those generalized concepts of within the concepts of strategy of implicit areas of control can be thought of in and of themselves. But then you want to talk about search and destroy from an attacker's perspective and search and destroy from a defender's perspective. And from an attacker's perspective, with regards to attacking a site, the most preferred scenario is going to be a multi-vector attack. And from a defender's perspective, you're always going to want to make use of two things, namely positionally strategic multi-layered approaches, as well as advanced positions of the map whose only purpose is the collection of intelligence and to inject hesitancy into enemy operator activity. That's really, no, I don't know why this guy's rushing up there, but that's really what it's about. A lot of times, from a defender's perspective, you want to inject hesitancy into the enemy's activity. Because, of course, this is going to then slow down their game. It's going to make defending much more easy. But if you slow down sufficiently to the point where you're forcing them to then stack a site and rush it at the end, you've also got to be careful of that. From an attack, again, one of the things that's super important within the context of search, and this will be within the confinements of intelligence. I didn't really mention it right there, but there's two types of intelligence here. Right? I talked about intelligence being the art of collecting information and compiling it into a threat map such that you're better able to understand the map, and as such make decisions based off of that. But that's literal collection of information. There's nothing going on there. There's two things you need to do. You need to collect information, and then from that you can build up a threat map. And from the threat map, you can understand what you know, what you don't know, and what you can infer. But the second thing is analyzation. And analyzation and assessment is extremely important. An assessment is really going to take into account what you've learned through building up a picture over the course of not only pre-game study, but also the game as a whole. And when you're building up a picture of the enemy, what you want to understand is the characteristics of the enemy. And the characteristics of the enemy are going to allow you to predict their behavior in the future. And that's where assessment comes in. So assessment within the confines of intelligence is going to pertain to your assessment of what is most likely given the context of the current situation. And so, for instance, the team captain, and in particular, the person responsible for all strategic decisions, must at all times understand what is within the confinements of possibility, and as such make an assessment of what is likely given the current circumstance. A simple example of this, it's a 4v4 situation. There has been some intelligence collected, but no engagements of any effect. What's going to happen with 20 seconds left? Well, the assessment here, again, this isn't intelligence in that literal sense where you're collecting information. This is where you've got to make assessment, and you've got to analyze. You analyze and you assess. And so in that situation, you've got to be smart enough to understand that the attackers are clearly in that circumstance going to be forced to make an aggressive push on one of the sites. And so then from that, you can then formulate a response preemptively without ever having to have collected intelligence indicating as much. That's what's known as assessment. I shouldn't really pick that window right there. I've got no help. What did I just throw out there? Our stairs are open, so unfortunately I'm going to have to... Again, you want... Typically in Search and Destroy, from a defender's perspective, you want 0 gaps in your defense. You want to be able to account for absolutely everything going on the map. Let's see here. You want to be able to account for everything going on the map. And from that, there's no gaps in your defense, right? Now, being able to do that is going to require that you cover all points on your advanced front line. No gaps. And so right there you can see the window was open and the staircase was open. So if I don't want my teammates to be flanked, I've really got to cover those both in that situation, which is difficult given the layout of that area of the map. Now, super important is control of this platform right here. Oh, look, why are they pushing mid like that? Like, I don't understand what they're doing right there. I mean, that's just not a smart decision at all. Particularly whenever, I mean, again, it can be good if you're really good with gun skill and that in certain circumstances, but typically you're not going to want to do that at all. You peek up there. You get this bomb down. Oh, he's in there. So typically, I'll say I'm not doing very well at the moment. Typically, from an attacker's perspective, you're not really going to want to watch your flank too much. There's no reason to watch your flank, because you, especially at the professional level, understand the defenders are not going to push the flank. And me in particular, I am not a big fan of pushing the flank whatsoever. And I've talked about it before where, for instance, you have a rotation regime whereby you have a preset notion of what players should do in certain circumstances. And so, for instance, let's say that you have a 4-man push by the attackers at one of the sites, and there's only one guy collecting intelligence on that site. Now, from that information, you're going to put into practice your rotation regime. And in that circumstance, your rotation regime may change. You may not just necessarily rotate forces back across the base. It may be appropriate to actually push the flank, but it all depends on the context, and you've got to be able to make decisions as a player. Where's this guy going to push me? That window's open right here. That's it. Make sure they don't push me for 2 seconds. 4v2. Now, with regards to retaking a site, in general, he's down here. In general, you basically want to enclose the site. You want to encircle the site from the furthest distance possible, and then you want to push in along all vectors. Vectors being the pathways that lead to the bomb site. In doing so, you're going to cover absolutely everything and you enclose them in. And obviously that's going to be easier with more operators because you can cover more vectors. And again, that's what's one of the confinements of strategy and tactics from a defender's perspective. How do you retake a site? Let me push here. Make sure they're not pushing mid. Got 2 snipers there. That's a bad decision by me right there. Again, typically you're not going to want to even peek that at all. Because it's a really dangerous situation, especially with snipers right there. That's a poor decision by me. Definitely. Sometimes I feel like throwing my hands up in the air.
Good job. Report to command for debrief.
So that's again, you ever wonder how you retake a site? How you retake a site is you encircle it from the furthest distance possible, and you push in along all vectors, vectors being the pathways that lead to the site. And so the reason that's the case, and the reason why you want to be so far away, not too far away so as to run out of time, but far away enough such that you encircle from a greater distance, because that's going to then enable you to pinpoint where the enemies are. Because one of the biggest problems is being able to scientifically and forensically locate enemy operators in circumstances whereby they've planted the bomb. And you don't want this chicken fest whereby everybody's looking for the operators and you can't quite find them. You want to encircle and push in as a team at the same time. Now this map in particular, again, we do Search and Destroy in general, Then we talk about each map in particular. It's a lot of content that's going to be put into this, a lot of effort. You talk about this map in particular, throwback. I've talked about strategy on this map before, and I'll sort of generally go over it again. From a defender's perspective, you're going to want to put 1B, 1 mid, and 2A, typically. And now, you might have 2 mid, and the guy mid sort of rotates back and forth between A and so forth, but typically, that's going to be your generic setup. And the reason for that is because B is a much, much more difficult site to attack. And the reason B is such a much more difficult site to attack, again, you talk about strategy within the confinements of search and destroy. B is a much more difficult site to attack because of 2 properties of the site, namely the geography and also its positional coordinates relative to the defender's spawn. Number 1, it's close to the defender's spawn. The defenders have extremely easily implicit control over that site, just from a positional standpoint. The second, geography. The geography of the site is such that on the side of the site, it is an open area. It's very easy to watch the cross and collect intelligence on that site. And so from a defender's perspective, really you're just going to watch that side and more particularly, and more specifically rather, watch the cross. And when you watch the cross, you're going to collect intelligence. If they push it, there's 2 things you can do there. You can win the gunfight if you feel confident, but you don't want to put your team at a disadvantage, so typically you're going to back off. You've got the intelligence, you back off, you relate to your teammates, and then you formulate your response based off of that. And then, for instance, you collect intelligence of 4 people are pushing it, the guy in mid's going to push up, watch the mid cross to make sure they don't rotate back through the base and make an A push. And then perhaps you'll have a defender from A rotate back across the base to help at a B. And then maybe the 3rd defender, in this circumstance, is then going to, or the 4th defender rather, might push the flank, or he might rotate back. Depends. Now in this site, A is going to be the most attacked site because of 2 properties, namely it's so close to the attacker's base and it's such an open region of the map. And on this map in particular, there is no buffer zone that you work. There's an attacker side and a defender side. Again, you talk about search, typically there's an attacker side, defender side, and then a buffer that you work. Not on this map, so it's a difficult map to defend on, particularly at A. At least given the meta now. Let's see, they're going to be over a day as we speak. Now this guy's just better than me, in every respect. So, now that I've ranted a lot about search, what I'm going to do is I'm going to focus on this game. It's probably going to be my last game or so, because I have to do something in a Secontus. But really, on this map, what you're going to want to do on the A side, there's 2 things, namely. You're going to want to watch the cross for a starter. But in terms of, I talk about, this is sort of within the confines of strategy in general, more specifically search and destroy strategy. And this is something I've learned through experience. Typically, given any position on the map, there is a ratio. And that ratio has 2 components. The first component is the intelligence gathering capability of that position. The second component is your ability to enact a practical response given that intelligence, right? And so typically, the greater a position has with regards to collecting intelligence, the less ability you have with regards to actually responding to the threats that arise from those intelligence giblets. And one of the key things here is one of the things that sort of gets this point across. You ever play Dust 2? From an attacker's perspective, if you watch mid-cross on that map and they don't deploy smokes or any other obfuscation techniques, then you're going to count how many cross. And that's going to tell you such crucial information in terms of how many are B, how many are A, or how many are orientated towards one side or the other. That's crucial information right there. But your ability to actually respond in a practical sense to that intelligence is very limited because you're so far away. And so that's one key thing, right? So if you want to defend A, you can watch the cross, but there's not much you can do about it. And so to really enact a response on that, you're going to have to make use of nades, or you're going to have to get aggressive. But then they can use trophy systems, and then form defensive lines and defensive perimeters, and so it becomes a chess game at that point. We planted the bomb right here, super easy bomb to plant at. Now they're going to be flanking us right here. I'm going to watch the flank from my teammate right here. They're going to be at the A side already though. I'm hoping they're not going to plant. Took that mid. Watching the flank right here. Where art thou? There's no point me, this is tactics right here, no point me challenging this guy. This is, I think, one of the most simple things understood by most people in search. There's no point challenging right there. In fact, I'm gonna let this bomb explode. More points for my team, more bragging rights. Actually, no, that's pointless because my teammate's not alive. Although I might want to keep these points that I have. I made a bad decision right there, I think. I could have won that gunfight, actually. Think about it. Again, one of the key things as well is the meta of the score streak. And this is something I learned particularly in Black Ops 2. The meta of the score streak, accumulating points effectively by essentially allowing people who are close to streaks to carry the bombs and things like that, and then shielding them, and then also using your streaks effectively. Those are all such important things, because people don't use their streaks effectively, or near as effectively as they need to. Little tech right there, you want to throw your nade further, you want to get more velocity. Do a little slide like that, works very well, especially in enclosed spaces where you don't have the luxury of throwing it such that the arc extends to a significant altitude. Wow. I think I'm bleeding inside right now, I'm not gonna lie. I'm alright though. Anyway, it's all's good in the hood. But that's pretty much it really, in the preliminary sense.
We're ahead. Ready up. The next round's about to start.
Karma 45, Kismet. But that really is like just a whole rant. I titled this video Rant for a reason. Because honestly, I'm kind of stressed right now. And so I thought this would be good to sort of clear my mind of things. And it sort of has worked to an extent. But all's good in the hood. Now let me just, I'm like a teammate out here today. Got mid right here. All the way back. He's close to me right there. Took my nade. Took a bomb right here. Got med.
We have the bomb.
Go ahead and plant. He's up there. I'm gonna go ahead and get these points. Now this is one of the things that I simply do not understand. Why they do not implement a ranking system in competitive. It's a joke. It would not be that difficult to implement some formula based off of, for instance, League of Legends or Black Ops 2 League play. And then have a ranking system, and in particular at the very least ban the stuff that's banned in the competitive rule set. Why am I able to use UAV? Why am I forced to use Ghost? This is competitive right here. I don't know why that's the case, but whatever.
Defend the objective.
I'm gonna go ahead and push towards A right here. Make sure they don't cross. Back up right here, you can actually see the legs. And before. Very nice. Now, I've sort of said it before, but you want to talk about implicit areas of control. The attackers have a control of A in the practical sense on this map. Now it's half. Talk about literal implicit areas of control. It's not quite clear who would have that control. Maybe slightly the defenders because it's slightly closer to the defender's base. But practically, the attackers have an implicit area of control on the A bomb site for two primary reasons. Namely, the defenders cannot afford to get aggressive because they're leaving things to chance, and the defenders also has to waste resources by deploying operators to B and mid. And so, realistically and practically, the attackers have an implicit area of control with a significant degree of ease over the A bomb site. Got my team right here. Going back up. That guy flanking us right here. I'm going in the mid building.
The bomb has been planted.
The assist right there. yeah, that's pretty much it. Now, I talk about this map in particular, as I say, that it's really, in my view, attacker orientated from a practical standpoint. And I don't see any reason as to why you wouldn't push A aggressively every single round until it stops working. I mean, there's just no reason whatsoever as to why you shouldn't do that. Scorch, again, I talk about multi-vector attacks, and in particular having the capability to project power into key points of the map. Scorch is a map that offers this capability extremely well, and Crusher does as well, but it's very difficult because the mid-map on that is so elongated. It's such an open region of the map, very difficult to see the attackers can feasibly take control of that, lock it down, and then project power wherever they want. But Scorch, on the other hand, mid-map on this is key for the attackers. And at the professional level, you'll see typically professional teams push B straight up. And I think that's a big mistake. I think the attackers ought to be taking advantage of the mid-map on this map and really taking advantage of that so as to project power in behind the B site so as to enable multi-vector attacks, which is going to split defensive resources, make it much more difficult for them to fight because of course they're fighting on two fronts in this circumstance. Very rare going to get a three frontal fight though. Very, very rare given the layout of any map. But as I say, you talk. It's very difficult because a lot of people, when they're attacking, they like to rush sites out and out, and that can work, especially on maps where it's favourable to do that kind of thing. And on this map in particular, a lot of teams like to do that. Big mistake. You want to slow your game down. You want to push out along the left side as an attacker. You want to take control of the map. Then you want to stop for a little bit, collect intelligence, formulate your response. Maybe you'll get a pick here or there, and then you pounce. That's how you're going to play this map, in my opinion. In my expert opinion. My monitor is just turned off right there, unfortunately. Turn it on right there. Hope it's not going to short circuit. But anyways, we're good, niggers. We're good. Let's focus on this game right here. Might be my last game, and then I'm really going to focus up and talk about strategy. Now, typically you're not going to push the A side on this for obvious reasons. Mainly geography and positional coordinates relative to the defenders. Base. Let's see here. Make sure they don't push me out in a small little room right here by nading it off. This guy hasn't pushed me. Let me just check this. Push this guy out. Really per flash for by me. Really per flash. Not gonna lie. But I don't know why they're pushing the A side right there at all. I knew I missed it, but I just challenged anyway because I thought he might rush me close. I was doing per in the games before, of course, because I'm not just making excuse. I really wasn't trying. I wasn't trying there, but those are nice shots, I'm not gonna lie. So anyways, let me just watch mid-map right here. Best I can. Key part of the map. I prefer to watch it from this cross right here so as to not get aggressive. If you see people right here, then perhaps you can do that. Now let me back off because my teammate's been taken out for dinner. What the hell, Pavel? Oh, I switched my weapon. Damn it, Jeffrey. I switched away. And unfortunately for me, I think I might make use of the keyboard actually. Or the TF141. I'm not a big advocate for sniping on the defensive side. Now, if you have a sniper that's extremely effective, and their geography is such that snipers are extremely effective for exerting control over that part of the map, or preventing or deterring or taking out people who are occupying extremely strategic, extremely important position of the map with regards to strategic value or power positions, then maybe you'll use the sniper on the defensive side. But typically, I like to use the snipers on the attacking side. The reason you don't do it on the defending side is because it makes retaking sites, and the most simplified form, it makes retaking sites extremely difficult. And if they rush you, then you're screwed pretty much. I like the sniper a lot though. Lovely job, I would have got him right there. You want to talk about winning gunfights? Again, trick question. You don't want to win gunfights, you want to cut the gunfight out of the picture. But then if you really want to understand how to win gunfights, you got to do what I just did right there. You don't want to necessarily go around the corner very slowly, although it's going to work very well in certain circumstances where you don't want to necessarily push out too aggressively, or you want to trick them in a certain way. But typically, if you sort of bunch around the corner like that, much more difficult target to hit, especially for snipers pre-aiming you. I'm going to go ahead and pre-aim this alley right here. I don't have visual on this left side, unfortunately, so if they rush me, I will not see it. Where'd I? Our defensive, keep it, our defensive. Got lines all over the place right now. Gotta hold our defense like it's Swiss cheese Monday. We gotta assume they have control of this observational deck.
We're winning. Let's do it again in the next round.
Observation. Intermission.
Search and destroy.
See here, I'm gonna push mid-map actually with a sniper. The B-side, B-side. Just B-side with the sniper and work it. Now you don't want to necessarily funnel out this left side right here. It's very difficult, very easy for people, especially with snipers, to pre-aim you. Get back right here. In this doorway. Pushing it out. What's the flank? I think they're flanking mid. I think he got him. No, he didn't. He's gonna flank all around this way. To the left. The guy behind us is contained though. This guy back here we gotta worry about. Oh, never mind. Here I'm back mid. Lovely jubbly. Lovely jubbly. All is good in the hood, and we're spinning around, and we're touching the ground. I think I might actually exert control over the B side this round. Just a can right here. The idle sway in this though is really low.
Friendly drone support is active.
I don't like the fact they're using UAVs right there at all.
Team, keep it up in the next round.
That was a good quick scope by me right there. This guy's weak, Harold. All's good though. All is good.
Search and destroy.
In the hood. I'm actually going to scope out this A side.
Destroy the objective. We have
Typically you don't want to sort of peek this because the attackers can get an easy pick at the start of the round. Unless you have a sniper and you're confident with it, but even then, like, let's get pushing.
the bomb has been planted.
Look out here. A pistol for close quarter combat. I see him, Jimmy. I mind two of them right here. Another one in here. Oh boy. Lovely jubbly. Again, that's sort of like the simplified mini version of a multi-vector attack. You push somebody from two different angles, they feasibly cannot engage on two fronts at once. It's simply not within the confinements of realistic possibilities, and so that's really the most simple. That's the most sort of simplified version. Honestly, can I simplify it? Everything you do is about mitigating the importance of the gunfight. That's literally the best way I can describe it. Oh god, here. Let's see, I'm gonna play on Crusher actually, hopefully get a game on this. But everything you do is about mitigating the gunfight. I mean, that's really what it comes down to. All that complex and nuanced understanding of the game, it all sort of branches out, but it all collapses into, you know what? You're trying to cut out the gunfight, make your life easy. And if you gotta win the gunfight, you have to win the gunfight. Because that's always what first-person shooters are going to be about. Winning gunfights. Yoko and Tokyo spinning around and we're touching the ground. We got need 2 more players right here. Go to my YouTube channel. It's called SpartanGalactica. Sub to it. Watch the recent video that's going to be up after I stop streaming. I go on some strategy rant and it's pretty good. And if you want to learn a lot about that, then go ahead. Have a nice life, everybody. Have a great life. Anyways, meeting everybody right here. And that's what it's all about. That's what the aim of the game is right here. Holy shizer. I'll play a little bit of Crusher right here. It's all about in this universe, in this world, in this cruel world. Playing a lot of The Last of Us, by the way. Super fucking, like, just awesome game. Just a great game from a storytelling perspective. I have to finish it off though. That's a random point I just added for no reason. Let me push out B here. B, super, again, really sort of annoying site to collect intelligence at the site. And so typically you want to collect intelligence and then back up. Really because there's 2 little lanes here and there's a rock and pillar in the way of the site, so you can't really watch the crosshair directly. So you sort of got to rotate back and forth. Now our mid's open right here and I don't like that at all. And you can see mid, right? You can like project power into the... I'm going to rotate all the way back. You can like project power into the back of the map like it's a piece of cheese. I mean, it's ridiculous. This map in particular. But because it's so elongated from a defender's perspective, it's an interesting one because of course you don't want to sort of put yourself at risk. And so really you're not going to want to peek it for too long, and so the attackers can advance up it quite quickly, and then that'll force the defenders back. So the attackers can exploit the map on this map. They'll pretty much win every single time feasibly. Be an advantage at least. I typically want to push A on the site, but I'm going to scope at B because we have to play for a pick right here. We're a man down at the default level. Now I have to push this out aggressively because they will get aggressive to say side. Just get in my right there, I think. I just hide in this corner for 2 seconds. Make the most of the sides. Elongation to win the gunfight right here. I'm lagging, unfortunately, very badly. Unfortunately, I'm lagging. It doesn't work. It just doesn't.
Search and destroy.
Anyways, all's good, except for the fact that I'm probably going to die because I did something with my jaw and it's hurting my side of my head right here, and I can sort of probably tell why that is. But anyways, I'm going to push out this B side. Make sure you push it to the limit. There's got a sniper right there. Not feasible for me to challenge it. I'm going to back up in this 3v3 situation, and I think I'm going to inject hesitancy into his pace, mainly because he's got a sniper, so he can't feasibly push aggressively, and also he's seen me, so he's going to assume that I'm waiting for him. So I'm going to rotate all around the back here, trying to retake this A site. Traditional retake's going to be like this. Damn it, we have gaps in our defense. This guy, listen, this guy is rotating through mid. He's literally rotating back to B and then going mid, and then all the way around with an RPR. I've never seen anything like that in my life. Anyways, all good in the head. I'm sort of ranting right here. I'm probably gonna have to go to the doctor. The doctor. Doctor Who. Doctor Who smells like a shoe.
Search and destroy.
Match begins in 2 seconds.
Destroy the objective.
I'm gonna scope out B side again. Actually, I'm gonna go mid. Let's see if I can make the most of that. My teammates are going this side though. I'm gonna just go by B then. I'm actually gonna push this a little bit. Now there is good cover at this side, to be fair. You make good use of smokes, you good AR players, then I think it's feasible. But A is really where you're gonna want to go. Typically. Where are they? I'm lagging all over the place right here. I don't know where they are. I think they pushed our mid right here. I have to turn back right here. Watch my back. Make sure I get flanked as a 2v2 situation. I really should group up my team right here, but I have no intel of what's going on the map. I've lagged off the map! Holy shit! What is going on right now? Yeah, you can see, unfortunately, if you stream, it's gonna fudge the bandwidth or whatever the hell they call it, and it's gonna do all sorts of things. You're gonna lag off the map like you're some wizard, because that's just how the internet works, and that's unfortunate. Now I'm gonna sort of like tell a true story right here. I kind of invented fiber optic, in the sense that I came up with the idea for fiber optic without actually knowing what fiber optic is. I was sort of thinking to myself, man, all this lag is shit. I really wish it wasn't there. What is the fastest thing in the universe? And of course the answer to that would be light. Travels at what, 300,000 kilometers per second. And so I thought to myself, well, if you could use light to transmit information by essentially, because light travels so fast, if you have the capability to flip it on and off in an extremely quick fashion, then you can essentially use certain patterns of light in order to act as signifiers. And so you'd have two signifiers, one indicating the start of the message, one indicating the end of the message, and then that middle part would indicate the content of the message. And if the light's off, it means 0, light's on, it means 1. And then you time it such that for however long it's off, it's all timed with units of time. And so you say, well, if it's on for this certain amount, then it means like 2 1s or 2 zeros or whatever, right? Anyways, I'm not going to explain the nuance. Little did I know that's what fiber optic is. So I kind of invented fiber optic, but at the same time I didn't, because I didn't, obviously. I'm going to take the safe side right here. What the fudge bolts?
Enemy bomb planted at A.
This guy didn't rush me, the guy behind me right here. Holy shit. What the fudge? My teammate just saved me right there, thank you very much. This guy's called Steven Seagal. And this guy's better than me, holy shiter. So yeah, I invented fiber optic. I really did.
We've lost.
Kind of.
Take them in the next round.
Not really. Fiber optic. Of course, it travels along wires. But of course, because I think you have to like renew it every 50 miles or something like that. I learned that in physics, which is always good. But I'm really ranting now about physics and the universe, which is not really what it's about. But this is what I do. I'm a random person. I do random things. Let me just free in this side right here. Let's see what's going on. Let me watch mid map. Don't see anything. I'm gonna rotate all the way back up my teammate right here. Unfortunately, he's down.
You're the only one left.
It's never good. Now this guy's gonna push me aggressively, so I'm gonna do that. Damn it, Jeffrey!
Take them in the next round.
That would have been nice. I really missed my shot right there. I should have got that kill easily. I'm a wizard, Harry. That was a nice flash right there. That's something as well I talk about within the offensive tactics and use of tacticals. I don't see people banking tacticals off of surfaces nearly as much as they ought to. We're in a 2v3 situation, so really I'm going to have to go A realistically. Get back up, this guy's got a snipe. Rotate all the way back. I really should have checked B right there for like 2 seconds, but... I think my flash too late right there. Of course they're going to get aggressive right there. I mean, why wouldn't they? I mean, they're up like 6-0, they're smashing us. You know, of course they're going to get aggressive right there. Unfortunately. But that's just how the cookie crumbles. Unfortunately, in this universe. And yeah, that's pretty much it. I kind of want to play some Scorch. I want to play some Scorch. I want to play with a sniper. Now, if your team has an effective sniper on search, that's always going to be of great beneficence. My KD is actually dropped. I play competitive mostly at this point, so really my KD is not going to be as high as, for instance, 2.6. And you really, this guy's got 3,100 wins. What the fudge balls? I actually played a lot on Xbox in this game because it actually came out in this game. I bought the Legendary Edition, of course, to get COD 4. You want to talk about COD 4? I mean, it's a good COD, but it really is not what people make it out to be. And I think people understand that now. I think people understand that it's more nostalgia and relativism more than anything, as opposed to COD 4 being a genuinely extremely good COD game. COD 4 is just objectively, in my opinion, not the best COD game. It just isn't. I would say Black Ops 2, I mean really Black Ops 2 for me, because there is that nostalgia factor. Black Ops 2, Black Ops 3, really I would say Advanced Warfare, Ghost and Infinite Warfare. And you know, from an objective standpoint, genuinely are the best Call of Duties that have been brought out. And a lot of people would disagree with that, but I simply wouldn't be inclined to agree with those situations at all. Actually, to be honest, you could put COD 4 up there for sure. But Black Ops 1, I don't know. All these games, they do have their good parts. They do have their good parts, I'm not gonna lie. I don't lie about it. This guy's got a knife stuck in his eye right there. Something we need in this universe. Unfortunately, my eye is twitching as we speak, which means that I'm gonna die. Unitary Doctor, the Doctor. I'm probably gonna die, by the way, because I like did something weird with my jaw and it sort of dug in with my headset and it's causing lack of oxygen, and that's not good. So I'm not eating this universe at all. So I might die. I might die, guys. So this is my last contribution to the universe, and hopefully somebody sees it. I'm gonna play with the keyboard. Actually, no, I'm gonna play with the sniper, even if it's defending. Let me actually push out this B side and scope it out, get some intel on it. What's good, nigger? Do I have mines? I do.
Destroy the objective. We have the bomb.
I'm getting used to this bouncing motion to win gunfights quite extensively, I'll be honest about it. Where are they spawning? Are they camping, rather? Checking the common positions, don't see anything. That's very difficult for me, so I really got to pick up an assault rifle. I'm gonna get aggressive on this B side, actually. See if I can flank. Stick to this wall around here. Advantage of the velocity and maneuverability it offers. Oh, dead silence on. Nice. This guy got an ace and a bucket and spade. You are the victim, my friend.
Search and destroy.
I'll push at this B side right here. Actually, no, I'm gonna. Actually, I will go B side. I'll watch B side. Could rush me close, so I've got to be careful of that possibility. Why's this guy pushed up so far? What the hell? Do you see that right there on the minimap? It's pushed up like it's frickin', you know, crack.
Complete the mission, soldier. You're the only one left.
There's a pistol right here. This guy didn't rush me. Oh, right there. I'm not going to be able to take this out with a sniper, unfortunately. I don't know why those guys were pushing up so far right there. I really ought to check the across next time, to be honest, so. I know they're going to push aggressively on that A side right there. I'm not escaping that at all, unfortunately, for me. He's made the search decision right there. He's got an AR, he doesn't know if I have a pistol. And so he's really just waiting for me to push out that back entrance. It's much more intelligent decision opposed to rushing in. Especially if you have the manpower in those situations. Let's go about the side. Not seeing anything. Go to the way back. Watch mid-map. They could push at the B side. Maybe just slightly to the right here, because that's where we're going to appear whenever the character model comes in the corner. What's out there is behind us right here.
We're winning. Let's do it again in the next round.
Any?
Search and destroy.
I think I broke my jaw. Holy shit. Push out this hit B side. B side right here. Oh shit, this guy's got a sniper. I'm gonna have right here, he's beat me. Oh, the Saska's right here. Be careful, he can jump over that thing and capiche you. Yeah, he's here right here. See him? He's there.
Good work, team. Keep it up in the next round.
Well, my teammate's saying close him right there. And push across. Okay, I'm ending the stream now. Have a nice life. Goodbye, 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 goodbye. Have to go really quickly. Not a nice way to end it, but have a nice life. Goodbye.